From the east of spring's awakening breezes, to the south of summer's passionate heat, to the west of autumn's purifying waters, to the north of winter's regenerative earth, I open this reading by invoking the Muse. O divine Posy, goddess, daughter of Zeus, sustain for us these messages of inspiration. Make this reading live for us in all of its many bearings, O Muse. Hello, beautiful muses, and welcome back to Cosmo Muse Tarot. Today I wanted to tap into eclipse season, the eclipse energy that is going to be coming through for the next little while. The day that this is at least scheduled to go live, so assuming that it happens when it's meant to go live, the Scorpio solar eclipse will be the following day. So some of you may see this right before the eclipse, some of you may see it on the day of the eclipse, or some of you may see it a little bit after the eclipse. And what I want to say is it doesn't matter when you come to this, and even if you come months after, weeks after, a year after, I do want to keep this a timeless reading. So even though it's sort of channeled through this eclipse energy, whenever you're drawn to this reading and drawn to a pile you feel has a message to you, it's the correct time to hear that. But I do want to spend just a little bit of time talking about my philosophies of eclipses. I have a lot of thoughts on them, and I think it's worth hearing a little bit of my views for context in terms of what I'm listening for when I'm channeling these messages. If you are not really interested in understanding the mechanics of astrology and whatnot and just want your message, feel free to do whatever process you have for picking your pile, tap into the one you feel has a message for you, and you can go to the timestamps. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about eclipses and specifically my perspective about them, I'm going to dive into that just for a few minutes. Hopefully I won't take too long. I'll try to distill it and be brief. So there are 4 kinds of eclipses. Not every eclipse is the same. So they always happen during a full moon or a new moon. And it's when the full moon or new moon is aligning with where the lunar nodes are. And the lunar nodes move signs, so 30 degrees of the zodiac, every about 18 months. And they're always traveling backwards in the zodiac, and the nodes of the moon are where the ecliptic is, so where the Earth's kind of plane, how we move throughout the year, we're on a bit of a tilt, so the ecliptic goes above and below our equator. And it's just throughout the year the path of how we see the sun. You don't have to totally understand that, but some of you may understand what that means. So that just means that when we have a full moon or a new moon that aligns with that ecliptic place or the nodes of the moon, our alignment with the sun and with the moon is so parallel to everything that they will block each other out. So if it's a solar eclipse, the moon's going to block the sun when it comes into the new position. And if it's a lunar eclipse, the sun's, there's like a shadow from the earth that blocks the sun's illumination onto the moon. So it's actually the earth that's blocking that light during a lunar eclipse. So there's 2 nodes, there's 2 places where the moon crosses this ecliptic place. One is where that path is starting to go northward, and one is where the path is starting to go southward. the north node is where that line is starting to go northward, and that in sort of mythology and lore, we talk about the dragon's head and the dragon's tail with the nodes. And that place where that ecliptic line is starting to go northward is that dragon's mouth, and that's where we are really hungry, and there's sort of a rebirth happening. So if you can think about sort of waking up in the morning and there's so much new potential, there's a lot of impulse, you're kind of emptying out your system and you're newly hungry, literally for food, but also for experience and whatever it is that day may bring you. The south node, I also equate that to not only just like a morning feeling, but like spring, sunrise and spring, and a new life cycle of something. The south node, on the other hand, is on the opposite side, and it's about halfway through this journey of the day, and it's where sunset is, or autumn is, or in that dragon head and tail place, it's where we kind of release things from our bowels. Yeah, so fun picture there, but it just talks about kind of coming into that place where we have to let go of control a little. In my metaphor, it's sort of like where, coming to that transition from end of summer and harvest into autumn and needing to kind of turn a little bit inward. It's sort of like where we've created wholeness, like the fruit, and we've purified it through separating wheat from chaff, getting rid of, the husks, or the picking something from the branch, and really organizing and separating and making things usable and useful, into needing to actually share this bounty and accept the bounty that you've cultivated in this year, and whatever that may be, just sort of relaxing into it and feeling into where the exchanges might come in terms of what you've grown, what you've brought into wholeness, and where that might help you to partner with others in the world, thinking back to more hunter-gatherer times or early agricultural times, those things that we were able to sort of collect and organize and make useful is then when we can kind of put, I almost want to say like a currency into the world. What can we exchange upon here? So the eclipse that's happening with the one that I'm tapping into here, the Scorpio solar eclipse, is on that south node. So it's a solar one versus a lunar one, and it's a south node one versus a north node one. So this has to do with, the solar one is a little bit more in the spotlight. It's visible. It's what we see in the world, what we're striving for at the moment. So this eclipse is a very visible one. And then on the south node, it's like where we're coming into a place of refinement, but there's a lot of grief associated with that refinement. So we have to streamline, we have to, get rid of some of the waste. And sometimes in our personal lives, that waste can be things we are very attached to, or it can even, like another metaphor, it can even be sort of like when a parent has really raised a child to the point of them being adult enough to go out into the world on their own. And so it's sort of like letting go of having really made something whole and trusting it to go out into the world. And so you have to sort of let go here. So there's that sense of like pushing something out of the nest in a way, even that it doesn't have to be literally that kind of scenario, but just like something you've brought into wholeness, you're streamlining it. So you're having to strip certain things away to really get down to its purpose. And then you have to see how the world is exchanging with it. You have to kind of let go of your control at this point and see what resonance it has in the world, and sort of just relax and accept what that is in a way. So there is some grief that is associated with this eclipse, but also a real push on us to step into our maturity and to accept something that has come into a state of its purpose, and then sort of facing the karma of what that purpose is that we have cultivated. So there's a lot of things going on with this eclipse, with any south or north node eclipse, but this south node eclipse, it's, what have you created, cultivated, brought into a wholeness, and now how are you kind of resonating that? How is that resonating in the world, and what kind of karma are you facing there? What kind of tensions are coming there that you need to figure out how to harmonize, where to say yes and no, where your boundaries are with it, how what's that attractive power, and how can you kind of come into sort of agreement and peace and a light heart, or a pure heart about exchange is happening. So it's very layered, and then you add in the sign that this is happening in, which is Scorpio, and that is the sort of the matter of this eclipse energy that we've talked about. And so Scorpio has a lot to do with how we empower ourselves. And empowering ourselves in Scorpio's viewpoint anyway is sort of how we channel shared resources in our life. So certain like really top level keywords for it are sex, death, and taxes. But it's this energy of magnetism, of allure, of mystery, those things that kind of that are intense and magnetic and attract you in, can either really empower us, usually by drawing us into entanglements that have power, that have issues of control, that have issues of intimacy. And when we do this, knowing our own power and being really precise and channeled about this and investigative about it, we can really empower ourselves. But if we're a little bit reckless here, sort of seeing how we can take advantage of a situation or allowing ourselves to be taken advantage of, we can create blocks and corruption and leaks. And so my metaphor with Scorpio is it's about going into the plumbing. It's about going into the places, the unseen, that are not always so fun to go into, to see where there's clogs or to see where there's leaks, in terms of how those shared resources are flowing to and from you, and how that is empowering you, and how you can be more precise and more what is the word I'm looking for? Whatever is the opposite of corrupt. How we know how our survival is enhanced by lifting others up as well, instead of sort of having, vampire type energy and just sucking energy from things to fill up your own reserves. It's sort of about that flow of resources, but knowing which resources to channel where, and which resources you need and how to channel them to you. And anyway, so it's complicated things I'm talking about here, but we basically are just going to look at, if I'm going to distill this down into like a sentence or two, where you're really coming into a sense of maturity and at least attempting to find some elegance around how you use power in the world. So there you have it. 2 sentences to distill all of that stuff I said before. But hopefully some of you will intake some of what I've said and really get a little bit more context around what eclipses do, especially in this one, a South Node eclipse. Okay, so we've got 4 piles, and we're just going to look into messages from this eclipse. I'm going to do some tarot. I have some tarot cards picked. I haven't looked at any of these, but I did pre-draw all the cards. So we're going to do some tarot to see generally what's happening here, what energy is trying to come into maturity and elegance in you. And then we're going to get some messages from the elemental realm, the animal realm, the what are the other ones? Elemental, animal, the plant realm, the spirit realm through a priestess, and an astrology card as well. And then to end the reading, I'm going to do sort of, it's called Living with a Feather Heart. This deck that really talks about those laws of finding that balance, harmonizing, and living with that feather heart because you've been fair and just. And, that's sort of the end meat of this South Node eclipse, is like finding that fairness, finding that justice, finding how to deal with the karma of what you've created, and facing it, and then harmonizing whatever is there. And so living with this feather heart, which allows you to move on to in mythology, and especially in Egyptian mythologies, into the afterlife. If you have a feather heart, it's, that's what allows you to move on. And so that's sort of the end goal with the South Node eclipse, is trying to get you to that place of a feather heart. Okay, so we've got pile 1 with the Orca Jasper, pile 2 with Pyrite, pile 3 with black Tourmaline, and pile 4 with Dalmation Jasper. Okay, for those of you that like my breath work, you can, or if you don't want the breath work, you can pause here to pick your pile and just move on to that. If you like my breath work, we will do that now. So take a deep breath in, hold it at the top in the space between your eyes, suck in a little bit more to add pressure there. And then with an out loud, do a big exhale, opening your crown chakra and inviting in inspiration. Feel free to pause and do a few more of those if you need more time with that. And then ask your higher self which pile has your message. All right, I will see you guys in your piles. Hello, pile 1. If this is you guys, you have this beautiful blue Orca stone, and we're just going to put it over here for the reading. And something I want to say about being drawn to this stone that just came to me after looking at these cards, I feel like would be a valuable, hopeful message for you guys, or loving message that you may need to hear, is that you have a depth, you have an ability to hold profound peace. And sometimes when we have that, it's a very like old soul type of quality. It also means that we're able to hold a lot of complexity and intensity. And I am feeling for you at this Scorpio solar eclipse that it may be on, Scorpio in general is very intense. It's, I think, the main intense sign of the Zodiac. But for you in particular, I do think there's some complexity and difficult things you are navigating. So I want to jump into this. Your central card, so the central issue of what this is for you, is 5 of Swords. And I'm seeing, this is such an interesting card to me. It's this woman is like partly an octopus. You can see her arms as they come out of her sleeves are actually octopus tentacles. And then we also see these fishermen out, and then this hook that has her. And so I think you have quite a few entanglements at the moment that you have brought into this fruitful, ripe place. And There may be a lot of tensions and competition and conflict around you in terms of who wants a piece of you, what you're entangled with, and certain typically with the Five of Swords, it's interesting because I typically read it as there being sort of like two sides but of a conflict, but like winning isn't always a solution that should be sought in that. But in this, I'm feeling like it's not necessarily like two sides. It's almost like a triangle or an octagon of a web of things going on, where it's not clear cut about being right or winning over a side of something. It's sort of like being kind of tangled in a multifaceted web of complexity at the moment, and needing to figure out how to detangle yourself from those that are trying to take advantage of you versus those that really are after mutual empowerment. And so there is a bit of a web to detangle at this eclipse, I feel like, and really needing to stay connected to your heart and the resonance that is in your heart around saying yes and no to things, feeling into clarity and truth about things, you know, your natural state being kind of deep and peaceful. What connects with you in that regard here? And how can that help you to lift out any hooks that should not be in you at this time, to kind of rise above any weird petty things, any shallow things, any false things, because you have so much power, you have so much to give, you have so much to offer. I don't know that you even know that, because this woman is like dressed. It's like her whole intelligent, amazing octopusness is partially hidden. And so I don't know if that's a strategy, like you need to keep aspects of that hidden because of some dangers of revealing all of your capacity, or if you are a little bit blind to all of your capacity. And it may go different ways depending, you know, because this is a collective reading. So for some of you it might be one way, and for some of you it might be the other way. But this eclipse is all about really detangling and finding out ways how to liberate what is either having to be hidden or that you're unaware of your power, how to liberate it from this dress into being what it fully is, instead of being confined without any hooks in it. So there's this power. What's coming into wholeness is like this amazingly intelligent capacity of being entangled in really powerful ways, drawing a lot of power to you, but knowing how, you know, but finding the karma and the balance there, and knowing how to say yes and no, and knowing how to see the hidden hooks that people have. But at this karmic time, especially as we get a little bit later past the eclipse, I think after about November 5th, and if you're watching this at a different time, I'm going to say about 2 weeks from this reading, or 10 days about. 10 days to 2 weeks. Karma is going to come up. People that have improper hooks in you are going to be revealed. And it's going to be up to you to not stand for those hooks. You may have gotten used to some of them, and you may have people trying to persuade you that they are good for you. But it's going to be revealed. It's no longer going to be a secret of who is trying to hook you, who has hooks in you, and for what reason. And you just really need to face it with strength, with your own empowerment, your own sense of wholeness, and some deep intelligence you've really cultivated, and really be strong here about saying yes and no, about detangling yourself where you feel you need to be detangled, and not letting anyone sort of like allure you, persuade you, seduce you, when you know already before they've even opened their mouth that this hook needs to go. So just getting a real strength in, detangling some things, and really only staying connected and plugged into things that are mutually empowering. Okay, so there's some beautiful things going on here, though. I think part of this thing that everyone wants a piece of is I think you have a lot of power in the material sense or in the physical sense, and you are very connected to your soul, which makes you have a sense of fertility about you, creation power about you, and movement due to really honoring and making those things about you quite sacred. So there's some really, really beautiful things that are, bearing fruit in you right now, but it's, very, very attractive, and it's creating some positive and some negative entanglements there. You are coming into a phase too of really being able to see something about your future that is very hopeful and positive. So take that seriously. And that's another tool to help you to know what needs to be detangled and unhooked from you, and where those entanglements are mutually beneficial and really positive in nature. Is how do you see, project 5 years into the future? How does this entanglement, this person, this thing, where is its place in 5 years? Is that murky or is that really clear? And if it's murky, is there still a sense of hope in there? And then if it's clear, is that, if it's clear, it's clear, like yes or no, But just kind of, project things into the future, because you do have a real sense of something about the future coming in, and knowing what belongs there and what doesn't. And there are decisions to be made at this eclipse. Absolutely. Justice coming in. This is absolutely South Node mirroring energy, Two of Swords. It's that crossroads place of really having to make decisions, really having to seek fairness and justice and equality and balance. And I love that this woman, she's blindfolded. And a lot of Two of Swords cards, if there's a person in it, a lot of times they are blindfolded, which reminds me a lot of that. This is a Libra-esque card, and the South Node is also Libra-esque to me. Of the, at least in the US, the symbol that, for the courts, the law symbol where it's that woman, Lady Justice, who's holding the scales and she's blindfolded. This has a very similar sense here, but it's a little bit more intuitive and magical instead of like weighing with logic and reason. I think there's something a little bit more intuitive with that moon over you, which is also a waning crescent moon, which is has some links to the star card and the way I associate certain energies. So there's, again, that confirmation here of really having some sort of spark or vision about your future, which can really help you to make the right decisions using intuition, using gut instinct, using what feels right versus what looks right type of energy. Yeah, so really, really powerful stuff coming through here. Okay, we are going to call in some support from different energies and places in our world and other worlds. Who wants to come in and sort of be support systems for you? Actually, we have room to put these down here. Okay, so we've got an elemental, we've got a plant guardian, an elemental guardian, an animal guardian, a priestess, and an astrological guardian that want to come in and support you if you will call on them. So these are beautiful supports, just on first glance. And then I have one other card I'm going to pull turn over at the end, because I'm going to use the guidebook with it. So the wind, the elemental energy wanting to come in and be a support for you at this eclipse, has a lot to say about really understanding that you are a channel, and through your breath you can really animate spiritual wisdom, really animate spiritual downloads. So there's something coming from other realms to support you, and it's through really getting in touch with your breath that it will help you animate that. So whether it's literally using like a breath work or a lot of movement aerobically, walking, jogging, whatever, biking that you prefer, hiking, whatever it is, or going out and feeling, the wind on your face. There's something that's wanting to move into you and through you that's really positive, that's real spiritual energy that's trying to be animated through you to help support you in, really stepping into all this beautiful power that you have and making the right decisions of who and what goes and what stays type of thing. And then the black cohosh is here to help really clarify for you. It's a huge confirmation to me that there are some really wily, slippery energies around you that want a piece of you or things you're involved in that do not belong there. There's gaslighting going on potentially, whether you're aware of it or not. There's manipulation. There's even potentially like spiritual energies that don't belong, that are kind of attaching because there's maybe just some dark things to untangle. And this black cohosh is coming in. It wants to support you in terms of really clarifying these things. So I feel like you can use that breath and the wind to bring in clarity as well, but also from that plant energy under our feet, that communication that you can get just by stepping on the earth. It's almost like energy coming from above and energy coming from below really want to help purify, clarify, and move the energies that are surrounding you and trying to entangle you, to clear anything out that's not just really positive and uplifting. And then we have the starfish here and divine feminine, magnetic receptive power. And I want to read these sort of in tandem, that you need to know that you are a star. You have the capability of standing on your own. You have a lot of outreach. You have a lot of magnetism about you. Just by being you, you don't have to accomplish and achieve and reach and strive. There's something very magnetic about you, very fertile about you, and that's naturally receptive and creative. And all you have to do is call things in to you that you feel you need to empower yourself. Like dance it to you, breathe it to you. This is deep, sort of receptive manifesting power versus active manifesting power. Right now, you're going to manifest and materialize through being in your power, emanating power, and drawing things to you, and knowing what you want to draw to you and dancing it to you, kind of thing. So use that breath, use your feet on the ground. Something's just be, emanate, radiate. Use that breath to get in your body and just, feel what you want, get clear about what you want, and draw it to you. And then the third house here kind of goes along with the wind and a little bit about the black cohosh. But another tint here is that, yes, like a lot of movement needs to be done right now. Moving your body, moving your breath, connecting with others just for the expression of it, just for the playfulness of it. There's information to be had in a lighter, playful attitude and connecting with people that even have nothing to do with like what's sort of going on with these entanglements. I feel like there's reflection and connection and playfulness that can really help illuminate and clarify certain things about how you want to feel, that then you can use as a map to know what's working for you. The other thing I want to say is that if you do have some fears about detangling certain things because you feel like they've got a hold on your power, or there's some resource entanglement that's hard to walk away from, this is saying, and I think with that starfish too, is like you have community around you that will provide the support you need if you have any fear about detangling from certain resources you feel have control over your life. You have very light, very easy, light, friendly, supportive community around you that will have your back, that will, help you bridge into just standing in your own power and reclaiming any of your own power that needs to be reclaimed here. And like overall with this starfish in the center that kind of mimics these tentacles of the octopus coming out here, it's like you're so much more of a star than I think you're seeing. And I honestly don't think you need any entanglements. You don't need anyone else's power to shine what you have. And I think you need to hear that. And so you have a lot more power over choosing who to entangle with, because you have choices here, whether you see them or not. If you close certain doors, you're going to see other ones that you hadn't seen before. That, if that's something you need to do, is close some doors, but you're fearful of not finding other doors that you may need, they are lined up for you. You just can't see them because you need to kind of clear out certain things if that is something you want. Okay, last thing we're going to do is look at this feather heart card and bring in some guidance, some beautiful spiritual energy for you around how to cultivate that feather heart right now to really take advantage of this eclipse energy and really come into your elegance. So you have I am humble, and I'm going to read from the book on this because these have very specific associations and I'm not fully schooled in those. Okay, so the virtue of humbleness is the embodiment of the ideal of gentle confidence. Oh, I love that. Gentle confidence, absolutely. With that divine feminine you've got, that light third houseness, that soulfulness with the chariot. I think that there is a confidence in you, but you also have a gentleness. And so sometimes you don't know how to walk that line of being confident in your confidence and not feeling like you're overpowering your gentleness. But they actually, I think this card is going to illuminate how these sit so well together and how to really embody that and use, sit in that divine feminine receptive power too through that. Okay, this tender certainty pays homage to the notion that you are a part of the all, a living, breathing consciousness within creation, an amalgamation of every element, a child of the earth, a sliver of the stars. Be humble, for you are made of earth. Be noble, for you are made of the stars. Serbian proverb. It is advisable to remember the humble wisdom and modesty because every living, breathing consciousness is also part of this all, and every creation within creation is part of the all. A humble soul can stand proud and feel gratitude for their unique place within infinite space without having to shout their perception of worth from the rooftops. The humble human is aware that pride is a dangerous path and that it is far better to embody I am humble than to constantly emit energies that can be perceived as a need to prove something or a call for recognition and or social acceptance. Through the idealization of being humble and actively embodying quiet confidence, a keen sense of compassion manifests. The transparent container which houses conceit is a boundary built on a subconscious foundation of inadequacy. In seeking acknowledgement for material worth or purely superficial pursuits, one is displaying a lack of conscious connection, as peace is replaced by a need for approval. I'm definitely seeing this blindfolded woman of like what feels right versus appears right, and really kind of stripping down entanglements that are built upon this need to appear a certain way or out of a certain pride, and like really tapping into that humbleness of what feels right inside of you, which is very feminine feeling versus appearance. Okay, the transparent container which houses conceit is a boundary built on a subconscious foundation of inadequacy. In seeking acknowledgement for material worth or purely for superficial pursuits, one is displaying a lack of conscious connection, as peace is replaced by a need for approval. In embodying an energy of conceit, you subconsciously empower darkness by separating yourself from light, selfishly believing you are above all others. Remember the tale of the emperor's new clothes for the antithesis of humbleness. A wealthy man had everything, but needed to always be ahead of all others. Yet when he was served his timeless lesson and exposed to the public, the moral of the myth revealed that the soul is always transparent in its actions and behavior, no matter what you're wearing. Are you naked in your authentic truth? Are you covered in lies spun from the finest fabric? Yeah, I'm tapping into that. There's something that needs to be liberated, unhoused from the dress that woman's wearing to really show her whole amalgamation of woman and octopus combined, and revealing the truth of who she is instead of trying to appear a certain way. Okay. Are you naked in your authentic truth, or are you covered in lies spun from the finest fabric? A humble heart needs nothing more than what they already are. So I'm seeing so much about the feminine aspect of yourself that's coming into that empowerment here, that wholeness here, and it's ready to shed any false appearances and walls and connections that are only there for appearance sake and aren't really deeply connected, that depth you have, really deeply connected to your soul and who you are and what actually feels good to you. You're really coming into a maturity about this. There may be some lessons in it, but tapping into that humbleness, really shedding any superficial types of entanglements. You're going to come into that gentle power and confidence that is yours. That is, that's where your elegance is. That's where people are going to resonate with you and where you're going to attract things to you. Beautiful reading, guys. Hopefully this eclipse comes with some amazing empowerment for you through any lessons that come as well. But yeah, really, really powerful stuff here. And I wish you the best through this eclipse portal. If this reading resonated with you, all the things, like, subscribe, comment, it's always helpful and empowering for me to have those things happen. So, all right, I will see you guys in another reading. Hello, Pile 2, and welcome to your Scorpio solar eclipse reading. You guys picked the Pyrite, and just a little message from this stone is, I think there's something about what you're trying to kind of bring into this wholeness and release into the world in a resonant, elegant way. Is there's something about, I think, that you've been digging at, trying to really understand your own light. And so really figuring out where your boundaries are with certain things that either drain you or feed you, in ways that illuminate who you are, what your special light is. And then looking at your tarot cards and seeing the heart of what's going on here, I see some really, really actually beautiful things coming through for this Scorpio energy. Scorpio doesn't always bring really off from the start beautiful things, but I think that I think you're someone that has maybe already done some really deep work, so the things that are happening right now are maybe not as treacherous as some of the other piles. We'll see how it goes, but anyway, I'm seeing mostly beautiful things for you for this eclipse. Okay, so the heart of the matter here is we've got the Knight of Pentacles, and so I think what's really coming into maturity for you, that you're really refining and really finding your wholeness in, is your industriousness, is your connection into being able to cultivate life, cultivate the material, cultivate income or resources, and feeling because of this confidence that's newly kind of coming into you, or that's really coming into itself. There's an ease and an impetuousness coming in here. The Knight of Pentacles is the least impetuous of the knights, but they're all impetuous. And there's an eagerness here. There's a want to reach. There's a want to feel life, to stand firmly in your life, to balance life, and I don't know, it's like be in your body and be in your industriousness and make life physically move around you, generate some some excitement there, some eagerness there. So the cards surrounding this central thing are really beautiful. I think that your ability to come into your own here has there's a lot of gratitude to be paid toward people in your foundations, whether it's been parents, siblings, soul family type people, aunts or uncles, cousins, whoever it is. There's been, and it may be multiple people here, there's been some really beautiful, supportive, familial type community and support around you that's really helped to reflect your light to you, to teach you beautiful things about industriousness, about stability in life, about building life. And not only that, but have really helped you to hone your mind and sharpen your mind into a very powerful place where you see through your ability to weigh and measure and reason and deduce and calculate, see potential and see opportunity and strategize in really beautiful ways. So that's some gorgeous stuff coming through there. And then even further outward, again, there's sort of like this foundation thing, this soul work, this depth coming through of, and I think it's come again through whether it's like a family member or someone who feels like soul family or just has that familial feel to you. It could even be a mentor, but one that's very close knit in your life and cherished in your life, who's shown you the value that being able to really commit to your life and mature your life means coming from a soulful place, means really paying attention to your foundations, to where your soul is calling you, the types of people and relationships that truly nourish you, how to take care of yourself, and how to do things out of a place of them feeling good. So I'm getting a lot of like divine masculine energy around you. So I don't know if there's been really beautiful male influences in your life, or if not, just authoritative influences that have been very nourishing and nurturing to you, towards you, and really instilled you in knowing what you're wanting to commit to, what you're wanting to bring into maturity to materially, physically in your life right now, and knowing that you need to commit to and give energy to and respect to your foundations. And it's not all about, and I love actually looking at this, it's not all about reaching, it's about having a solid foot on there's that pentacle down carved in the foundations too, truly cherishing and valuing and creating really, really, really solid foundations, home life, family life, partner life, soul, your own soul, your house, whatever it is that makes you just feel stable, supported, nourished. You equally see the value of that as a necessity for you to be able to reach and to be able to be eager and push forward with excitement and possibility on the horizon of how you can build your life. So a real building phase coming through here, and really stepping into refinement and maturity and deepening into being able to reach through creating the foundations you need. So really beautiful building energy coming up here. Okay, we are going to look at some energies that want to come in from the different realms. So we have the elemental realm, the plant realm, the animal realm, and the priestesses of light, as well as some astrology that want to come in and be supports, to be guides that you can call on, that want to be here for you during this eclipse to lean on. Some of these I'm going to read from the book, or at least glance at the book, because they have really specific messages that, like, I don't, like Datura, I know a little bit about that plant, but not enough to just feel confident in riffing on my own. So, like, I'll take a peek at that. And oh, Scorpio, just confirmation of the Scorpio. So first we've got Lynx, which I'm trying to figure out which element that comes through. Give me just 1 second. Maybe the Earth? Yep, Earth. Okay. It says, sacred silence. Lynx stalks silently under the stars of the cold northern midnight. A huntress at heart. Her thick fur, wide paws, and agile limbs allow her to traverse green forests, scale granite faces of mountains, and negotiate the freshly fallen snow. Echoes of the world are held at bay, for she has chosen solitude. She is completely at one with her habitat. Her independence comes without complication, and her silence remains solely her own. Lynx calls upon you to hold sacred silence, at least for the time being. There is great power in keeping your own counsel when appropriate. Silence is particularly wise when applied to a new project, relationship, or vision that still lives in the gestational or liminal realms. This is because sacred silence is a womb where dreams and desires may come into material form. Go with Lynx into meditation, where the light of possibility will allow your dreams to unfurl. Trust that you will know when the time is right to speak. Have faith you'll understand exactly whom to share it with. Discerning, intuitive, independent. And that's totally, brings some things I want to highlight, that we already touched on, but that feel important to highlight, that something that has really been cultivating in you is this ability to really touch into your soul space, which can also be sort of that womb space. And so, like, trusting your intuition, trusting your depths, which can equate to that home, family, foundational space that's sort of a womb space. And so, I think that's interesting. What's coming through here right now is for you to go into solitude and silence and trust that intuitive space, trust that nourishing foundation that you have cultivated to communicate to you, to embrace you and hold you. So I think you've done a lot of work in creating that kind of space where you can feel held and safe to go into that solitude and not feel alone, but feel held, kind of thing. Okay, and then we've got Datura from the Dirt Gems. That one's easier to find because there's a number on it. One critique I would give card makers is make it easy to find the card in the book. Okay, so Datura, seer of the unseen. Yes, you are going into this womb space to really dream and get in touch with what your soul wants. You're on solid ground and you just need to dream about, I think there's an eagerness about wanting to reach now, but you're needing to go into that womb space. So Datura is a queen of the desert, of the dark, of death, and of mystery. That sounds very scorpionic. Datura is a moon plant reflecting light into the shadows, glowing and glimmering in the mist. Datura is the seer of the unseen, the silence in the roaring wind. If you are struggling with the unknown, if you are facing a vast transformation in your life and you feel yourself on the edge of a cliff, Datura is your lifeline. Look, he is kind of on this cliff. That's very interesting. Datura emanates strength, power, courage, a poison plant, one that humans are not to take lightly or engage without clear intentions and honesty. Datura states their boundaries. They allow much space and freedom to roam the unknown tides of the underworld. And that foundational energy, womb space, it also, to me, connects to underworld, where we find our soul. Datura will open your doors of perception, loosen your grip on what you think is reality, and shift the borders of what you know to be true and normal. Datura expands us. And I love how much this is plugging into just the visual of this card past what Knight of Pentacles normally means. He's just like opening up. He's expanding his boundaries. Okay. If you are letting go of a familiar reality like your home or your job, a relationship, or some stable structure you have been counting on, prickly and mysterious, Datura will not hold your hand, but they will stand by you, their courage rippling into you, shaking your bones, releasing your dreams into a new world of what is possible. You do not need to be limited by what you know or what you think. Datura encourages the visionary deep inside of each of us. This sacred nightshade breaks illusions, allows for the visions in your dreams to come into waking life. Datura is not playing around. If you are too caught up in the mundane world, if you have forgotten your own magic, if you feel alone and lost in the noise, you can sail in the desert sands of this windy, moonlit queen. I love this. Oh, and look, there's a scorpion on this card along with the Scorpio card. That's interesting. Yeah, so you're going into some very the mystery of your depths, to sort of really discover just how far you can push yourself, really empowering yourself by expanding. And I think, you've built the maturity and the really cultivated in yourself of knowing how to create solid, nourished foundational grounds under you, which gives you that courage to step into something more expansive, to dream bigger. I feel like maybe that's what's going on here. You're ready to reach a little bit past where you've been. And it's really time to trust in the fact that you really know how to, create solid foundations, and let that give you that confidence to step out and push past what is there, what you already are doing or have or whatever. And then you've got the golden egg, which it's connected to the heart chakra. Again, I love this mirroring of the pyrite, really going within to find your own particular, unique, special light, and trusting in it and listening to it. So the golden egg or the heart chakra is said to have house, our guide, our inner guide, and you can hear it only if you get quiet enough. And so I like that links connection too, of getting really quiet and solitude, because you need to listen to that guide in your heart, that heart space. And then we've got precognition for your priestess of light, psychic ability, future vision. So that's a beautiful thing to come through. I won't expand on that too much, just maybe that's the message you're going to find, and that push you're going to feel to push into the unknown as you're having some sort of precognition, some sort of vision of what is coming, which gives you the courage, that push you need to kind of expand past your safe boundaries. And then Scorpio, that's just confirmation that I like the investigate actually underneath here, which I think connects to that links, connects to the golden egg, that silence. that listening inward. Really investigate within yourself what that light is that you're trying to capture that's just yours, and where it wants to take you. Investigate that. Go into solitude and quietness and listen, investigate. Okay, our last card is this Living with a Feather Heart, and this is sort of the culmination of advice and guidance to come in to help you step into elegance around this, step into balance and fairness here. So I care for the earth. That couldn't be more fitting for Knight of Pentacles, who I sometimes consider the steward of land and earth. Okay, so I care for the earth. Give me just a minute to find this one. Maybe I should be bookmarking these, like looking at them and bookmarking them before I do the reading so that I can get straight there. But I kind of like them to unfold instead of seeing them beforehand. Okay, I care for the earth. Bear with me for just a second. Here we go, 15. Okay. See, it'd be so nice if there was just a little 15 down there or something. Okay. Okay. A pearl is made when a parasite or a grain of sand finds its way into the shell of an oyster and begins to irritate the insides. From this irritation, the oyster creates an enamel called nacre, or mother of pearl, around the strange visitor. And after some time, the intruder eventually evolves into a pearl. Our lives are polished by the metaphors with which we view our container of infinity. Metaphor perhaps being meta for the language of myth and metamorphosis. In Egyptian mythology, Geb is known as the Neter of earth. He is husband to Nut, the goddess of the sky, son of the god and heir of Shu, the goddess of moisture, Tefnut, grandson of creator Atum. Yet, in modern mythology, we've commonly come to refer to the earth as a she, perhaps stemming from the Greek primordial deity named Gaia, believed to be the mother of all life. The world, in the context of the major arcana, is the last card of the tarot and considered an archetypal metaphor related to a cycle coming to completion, a climax, or a passing of initiation. In applying the feminine understanding to this ideal, we seek to appreciate Mother Earth as a sentient being similar to the perception of Gaia. She is a bed for souls to awaken within the material plane, the oyster by which pearls are cultivated, a living spirit of the elements synthesized into a sphere. A parasite means an organism that lives in or on another organism, its host and benefits. But the word also carries a threatening or negative connotation of something that feeds off its host and diminishes it. However, if we view this definition with a feather heart, we can see beyond this adumbration to the core meaning, where there's a deep lesson to be learned when viewed from the ideal of I care for the earth. In caring for the earth, we appreciate the benefits she provides, never taking for granted the gift of wakefulness that we've been given. We live as a custodian of the life force that hosts and sustains our evolution from one level of consciousness to the next. From a grain of sand to a beautiful pearl, from a mustard seed to a garden of earthly delights, from womb to tomb. We are a product of the world we create, care for, and participate in. This is so cool because I really do think of the Knight of Pentacles as a steward of the earth. And this is so much of what this is talking about. Okay, so in caring for the earth, we appreciate the benefits she provides, never taking for granted the gifts of wakefulness that we've been given. We live as a custodian of the life force that hosts and sustains our evolution from one level of consciousness to the next, from a grain of sand to a beautiful pearl, from a mustard seed to a garden of earthly delights. Okay, I've already read some of this. Sorry, I'm going to skip past. Okay, the sleeping soul takes these gifts for granted and lives as a parasitic presence, ungrateful for the present, but the idealized human honors the host as a mother and allows initiations into the complexities of infinity to give luster to life's light by living as a pearlized presence of grace and graciousness. And I love this. I think this going within, going into the womb spaces, going into your own earth, you're going into Mother Earth as well. And I think there is that maturity that's been built in you, this place of coming from soulfulness, of wanting to care and nourish rather than, and build through that rather than building by destroying and taking. And so there's a real maturity coming into you and an elegance coming into you in terms of knowing how to build in a really mindful and connected way to your own material and the material that you came from, and whether that's your family or the earth itself, just like really really knowing what it means to nurture and nourish things, everything, to build in a nourished way, instead of just building to conquer or something. You're coming from a much more soulful place, and you're coming into maturity and elegance around this. It's going to take some, I think, the deep scorpionic investigative work you're needing to do is to get quiet enough and still enough to find that vision, that future vision that you're needing to push you into the unknown and trust yourself to build with this thoughtfulness and build with a vision that is thoughtful too. Beautiful. All right, this is where I'm going to leave you guys. I hope this resonated, and I wish you all the luck in this eclipse portal that we're stepping into. Of course, if this resonated with you and you enjoyed it, all the things, like, subscribe, comment, it's very appreciated. All right, I will leave you here. Thank you for letting me read for you, and I will see you in a different reading. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading connected to this Scorpio solar eclipse. But don't worry if you've come to this at a later time. Whenever you come to this, it's meant for you. I'm just channeling from that eclipse energy. And for you guys, you picked the black tourmaline, which I sort of had an energy for each of these stones as like a little personal guidance to give you, but seeing what I had thought of, and then as I turned over these cards, I'm like, oh, that was more needed than I could have imagined, is of these piles, I think you're the one that's really gonna be rocked by this Scorpio eclipse. Maybe a lot of you have Scorpio suns or moons or ascendants or, Scorpio energy anyway. So it might be just hitting you a little bit more intensely, but this black tourmaline is coming in, and it's saying that there is energy around you if you call on it that will help absorb any negativity, any blockages, anything that needs to be transformed into positives in your environment. So even though you may go through it a little at this eclipse, there is energy that can kind of transmute and alchemize things into something positive. And I am seeing that here, even though there might be some difficult things to go through. When all's said and done, I actually think you'll look back and be like, wow, look at where I'm at now, sort of thing. So it's interesting. There's different metaphors and dynamics that I use for eclipse energy, and especially with the South Node eclipse. One of the few that I sometimes plug into is like it can really bring up issues of like crisis or feelings metaphorically like a natural disaster has happened. And I absolutely see like that may feel present for a lot of you guys coming to this reading. Of there is some upset, some shocking things, some big shakeups and changes coming through. At the same time, I think you are already, or if this has already taken place, whenever this comes, I think you will have come into it already having had a lot of intuition and feeling about this area, whatever it is for you, needing a change and needing to find a way to kind of walk away from something. And that's at the heart of this eclipse for you. Something is being walked away from. It's something that is felt in your heart for sure, that there could be a lot of emotion around. There could even be, some positive associations and memories, but overall, whether it's just time to move on, or there's, for a lot of you, I feel like there might just be some built up baggage that's just gotten too negative or toxic to continue with. It's this eclipse is going to be that trigger to help you have the courage or create the circumstances where you are able to actually move on. And I see that so much in this particular Eight of Cups card. Like, it's almost like there's a ghost here haunting her of the past self. So a lot of reflection. There's been a lot of time put into whatever you're walking away from. A lot of memories. We see these birds, her head kind of dissolving as these birds, a flock of birds flying away. Skeletons, there's, skeletal structure here. There's a lot of positive and difficult baggage, I think, going on here. And so I think it's been a lot, and it's been hard to walk away. But something is starting to crumble. Some foundation's not quite right. And this eclipse is bringing that circumstance, that event, that something that's going to really push this into place. And we see that with the Tower here. I think there's, even though you're already sensing, and there's been maybe some, intuition about needing to move on from something, whatever creates the circumstances or pushes it into being will maybe feel out of the blue, a little blindsiding, a little, might shake you a little bit. At the same time, that Tower energy can really, just like a big storm, like the elements of nature really on display, it feels like a crisis in the middle of it, but when it clears out, like a huge rainstorm or thunderstorm, afterwards it's like, and even floods, and I'm trying to step beyond, the havoc it wreaks on lives or human-made things. But if there were no humans and structures on Earth, and there was a big flood or something, it does bring in new silts. It brings in new life. It regenerates at the same time, and it brings certain clarities about things. And so even though there may be a feeling of a crisis or some kind of feeling of wreckage in your life, it is really shocking you awake with the aha of it really is time. And I'm seeing really clearly this is no longer working. And it's just like a huge clarity comes through. And potentially even some insight and notions about how you want to rebuild or where you want to go next. And that can always help us, that shock of clarity of something else that grabs our attention. Sometimes it's the thing that helps us to walk away from something that's not working. And then the Three of Swords here is just confirming that there is some disappointment in your heart around whatever this is. And I already felt that with the Eight of Cups, seeing that hourglass here. I think there's been time and energy and a lot put in here from whatever you are needing to walk away from. And then we see the Nine of Wands. There's this has been an epic journey, and there's a lot of reflection to be done here. There's a lot of illumination, a lot of lessons and battle wounds to look back upon and claim as your own, as now wisdoms that you embody because you've walked through it. So not all is lost. You may be losing something that feels something like you've built something and you've had to walk away, or a relationship that you've had to walk away, but you walk away with this new sageness, this wisdom, this illumination, and strength of knowing through experience and heroics and journeys and adventures. And again, I told you I was going to bring up that not all is lost, and you will look back at this time as saying, you know, if that never happened, this other thing would never have happened, and that would have been a tragedy in itself. And that other thing, even though we don't know what it is leading you towards a victory, is leading you towards where you shine, where your light is, where your joy is, where your creativity is. And so absolutely not all is lost here. You're just being pushed toward an update. It's sort of like you've been maturing under the surface in certain ways, and really cultivating certain things about you for a long time without actually making outer world moves to match those updates and depth and cultivation that's gone on inside of you. And there needs to be a reckoning with that. And so the things that are being shed that you're having to walk away from, even though there's a lot of attachment there and both beauty and pain, this tower thing, this thunderbolt is pushing you towards that update to match what's inside of yourself, all the updates you've already done, and maturing to step into your power. You've been holding yourself back is what's been happening in the outer world. You haven't let the outer world see who you've become inside, and it's time to shed those circumstances so that you can step into your power. So yeah, I would say absolutely some negatives being transmuted into gold, alchemizing pain into victory and beauty, and yeah, all sorts of amazing things. Okay, we are going to bring in some guides from the different realms that want to be here to assist you, to provide guidance that you can call on if you so choose. And some of these I'm going to read from the guidebook, because a few of these, you know, like these plant medicines, I'm not familiar with every plant, so I can't channel as well when I don't know what the impression is even about. So I will be reading from the guidebook from this, as well as the very ending card I'll be reading from the guidebook. But both of the guidebooks have such beautiful messages anyway that I think that's of benefit to you guys to get something outside of my own wisdom from these beautiful writings and messages. Okay, so, oh wow. Wow, yeah, this is very reflected in what we've already brought up. Thunderbolt, we couldn't have asked for a more appropriate elemental guide for you guys. So the Thunderbolt actually is coming in as a guide, as a support to you. So that shake up, whatever comes in that feels like a shake up, that feels like a bit of a shock, that turns things upside down, is here to give you clarity, is here to help you move towards your power. So you can call on Thunderbolt as a guide to empower you and to clarify where you're moving on to. A very empowering guide here. So Blue Cohosh, I am going to read from the guidebook. So we had an elemental guide. Now we have a plant guide. Okay, so 54. Okay, Blue Cohosh, Time Loosener. Blue Cohosh is the forest spirit in physical form. Blue Cohosh understands the space and time of the wind in the trees, the croak of the frog, the whistle of the bird. Blue Cohosh is exactly right here and right now and everywhere all the time. For many humans, this form of existence is hard to grasp and even harder to inhabit. We often want to jump ahead of our present moment to plan, control, and understand the future. Linearity is a vehicle to narrow and confine. Hunger for control, productivity, and outcomes prevent and even destroy possibility for spontaneity, true opportunity, and magic. Blue Cohosh will dispel these notions as the falsity that they are and allow you to ride the currents in the air and be exactly here right now. And I feel like that Thunderbolt, that tower energy is coming in to help you, not kind of try to know what's ahead in order to move on to something or be stuck in the past. It's really just putting you just like right in the moment and clearing everything away and just empowering you to, be spontaneous and see the magic you possess to change your life, to be in the here and now and see what being present opens the doors to. Okay, if you are feeling worn out or fuzzy, you are needing the support of Blue Cohosh. If you find yourself distracted, easily disturbed by incoming thoughts, difficulty feeling a sense of yourself in the present moment, Blue Cohosh is whispering in your ear. Feeling reactive means you are not grounded, not responding from an innate truth within, but responding to what others are saying, doing, or putting out in the world. Reactions are mirrors of those we are interacting with. They are not true to ourselves. Invite Blue Cohosh to release you from the bonds of the chase of the mirror's illusion, from following the addictive patterns of drama and conflict. Let thoughts arise, show up, and then let Blue Cohosh slide them away. These feelings and energies, slippery as the river current moving on. Oh, beautiful. So you're really being liberated here to, I feel like the attachment to this thing that you already kind of know is needing, not solid for you. It's sort of like, there's certain ties from the past or drama or, entanglements that keep it interesting enough and keep you chasing after it just enough to want to hold on to certain involvements and things. But this Thunderbolt coming through is just really going to sever that and clear that kind of need out of you and really bring that maturity into you, into standing in your own power and the magic of having a clear path ahead of you with your own creative heart that's newly just like so wise and so empowered, at the ready to lead you to something more powerful for you, more victorious for you, that's not so entangled and attached to, like approvals and appearances and certain dramas and certain associations. It's just, it's like time to move towards who you really are and stop being held back by things that have kind of corrupted. Not that you're corrupt or anything specifically corrupt, but just like energy that's kind of corrupted, that's no longer positive. So beautiful. And then I love seeing the peacock show up for you guys. It means that even though this has been, is going to be, or has been really tough for you, you're really assimilating everything. You're really learning the lessons you need to learn, and you're finding the elegance. You're wearing your battle wounds like a robe of honor, and you're really taking in the lessons, honoring them and wearing them, and it's just bringing a new elegance to your surface that maybe you haven't seen about yourself before, because you're just like really standing in your lessons and your clarity and your power. And then calming the waters, the priestess of light coming through, peaceful self-regulation. Oh, I love this coming next to the peacock. I think all that assimilation that you're doing and taking in the lessons and really honoring them and wearing them and seeing the wisdom of this. You're learning also, or you're having this guide come in to help you with understanding how good it feels to be in peace and knowing how to self-regulate properly for who you are and what you're doing, and all of that. And then 9th house exploration coming under 9 of Wands is just total confirmation that whatever this is, it has been a journey. It's had ups and downs. It's had adventures, and it's really pushed your perspectives. It's really pushed your boundaries. You've reached past the point of what you've been able to hold, and it's given you something to build towards, to refine in yourself, to better in yourself. And you're wearing that journey with all of its ups and downs and successes and failures with honor and dignity, because it's really pushed the boundaries of who you are and what you're capable of, and pushed you to improve yourself in huge ways. It's just time for a different journey. It's time to let whatever's assimilated and matured and new in different ways inside of you out to have a new adventure. Okay, so last card we're going to read is from the Living with a Feather Heart, and this is the guidance and advice of how to step into your elegance and your resonance with this eclipse message coming in. Okay, so it says, I can be trusted, and I'm going to read from the guidebook from this. I think this is number 14. Okay. Trust is a fluid word synonymous with the ability to have strength in one's beliefs about another or about oneself. At the same time, it is also a word tied to the law, as trust can also be applied to a legal agreement where one becomes a custodian to protect valued assets for the sole benefit of another. Following I can be trusted means staying aligned with your core values. Not being trustworthy carries a high price, and the weight of your soul is not measured in gold, but in the feather of Ma'at. The true value is found in the heart that is alchemically golden. In the alchemical context, gold is symbolically considered the king, and it elementally corresponds with the sun, the heart, awareness, Sahasrara, the crown chakra. The crown or seventh chakra, when activated, is believed to allow a space of pure consciousness to be attained. In this space, you unlock the ability to transform into the divine and to do whatever you wish or will. The paradox is that when you get to this point, it is not material desire that activates awareness, but the heart's desire to live in the light of truth. Living always in the light of truth can be challenging in modern times. To attain awareness and protect your values while still being present in the world requires a balanced scale. Philosophically speaking, Aristotle's golden mean provides a series of tenets to balance the mind, heart, and spirit so as to follow the middle path by avoiding excess and being aware of where there may be a deficiency. A deficiency in honesty lends itself to secrecy, but too much honesty can lead to gossip and unnecessary chatter. Too much temperance leads to a lack of awareness, but not enough can call forth self-indulgence and extravagance. Not enough friendship can cause loneliness, but too much can mean only superficial relationships. Too much generosity causes toxic excess, but not enough can lead to stinginess. No self-control can bring indecision, but too much impulsiveness. Life is lived in the space between, and the trustworthy soul lets its golden light be felt through balanced action and word, the will being executed in accordance with the law of Ma'at. So this is where I'm going to leave you. Really beautiful. You guys do have, like I feel it. There's some pain here, some disappointment, some attachments that are really coming to a reckoning place, and it's a lot. It's just a lot. It's been time, energy, so many things, different for everyone, but yeah, I love this last message of I can be trusted, knowing I think that's where some perspective has been broadened on this journey and exploration is knowing those balance points of how to trust yourself with balance, with moderation, with all the things that card talked about. So really, really beautiful, and I love the image of this literal golden feather. And so I really think at the end of this, there's gold to be found, your heart to be found, victory, joy. It's all coming in. It's just needing to clear out long overdue old things that have not been allowing updates in you to shine and move on to their own path. So, all right. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it was helpful. I wish you guys all the luck in the world in this eclipse portal. If this resonated, all the things, like, subscribe, comment. And I will see you in readings in the future. Hello, pile 4, my last beautiful pile. Welcome to your Scorpio South Node eclipse reading. Okay, so jumping into this, I had felt energies around each of the stones and wanted to kind of channel just a little message from that before diving into the cards. So before picking any of the or as I was picking cards, not seeing them sort of face down, what was coming through here, and I know a little bit about this Dalmation Jasper, so its own messages were coming through as well. But I did feel that, this black in the Dalmation Jasper is actually some black tourmaline, which is has properties and healing energies of wanting to absorb negativity and transmute it and alchemize it into positivity. So I do think there's some complexity around you right now, or with this eclipse energy. But the lighter parts, it's this thing of like really craving and wanting to find joy, but I also felt that was trying to find you. So a lot of kind of seeking energy. And then as I turned over these tarot cards, which are the first things I'm going to read, it was like, couldn't have been more in line with what I was feeling from that stone. So to start, the Gemini energy in this layout in these cards is palpable. So Gemini has to do with the energy, and even though that's not the sign with that's having the eclipse, like maybe your Scorpio house is in the third house, like rules your third house, or maybe you have Mercury in Scorpio. So third house and Mercury are both connected to Gemini energy. So that could be something going on here, or maybe, anyway. But that the Gemini energy in you around this time, around this eclipse, is very palpable. And Gemini has a lot to do with really trying to figure out how the inner tensions within ourselves can harmonize, can find pathways to work with one another. And paradoxically, the way that we do this really effectively is by engaging with community, with exchanging information, with pollinating things. So it's by being out in the world and connecting out in the world that we start to figure out things about us internally and really find the resonances to harmonize our inner tensions. And so going into this eclipse, I feel like you're at this, and when Gemini is in overdrive, when it's kind of swinging negatively, it can really put us into high anxiety, a lot of mental trappings and fears, a lot of feelings about where we belong, and getting in our head about belonging and where we belong and not feeling belonging anywhere. And that's, a reflection of not feeling belonging within ourselves. So going into this eclipse, I feel like there's some high drive here that's really difficult. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of kind of having hit the wall, hit your low point of in some capacity mentally, around that mental energy, around inner tensions, around really, really trying to feel connected in life. So yeah, it's busy. It's a lot. It's the stuff where you get insomnia, where your mind is hard to shut off your mind. And where I'm finding or seeing that you can find this balance, because it's coming in, beautiful stuff is coming in around this. We've already seen it with the rock, that joy is trying to find you as much as you're trying to find it. And I see it coming in here, but you have to do some work to deal with this anxiety and questions of belonging and trying so hard. And I think the way that you can do this and balance this is to go within, to do a lot of inner meditation. And like sometimes when we've done all of that busy work, when we've pollinated and connected and expressed and just stirred life up, sometimes then we have to sit and assimilate all of that information, all of that movement, all of that connection. We need to take time to sit with it, to assimilate it, to feel it and give it space to breathe, to finally understand what it is we're trying to understand, to let it settle. And I feel like that's where you're at. You're so close. You're on the precipice of really maturing into feeling a belonging within who you are, hence out in the world. But you've got to sit. You've got to let all of this information and busyness settle into you and assimilate into something and allow that understanding to arise from within. You've done the work of busyness. You've done the work of connection. Sit, breathe. It's coming. That's what the message is. It's coming through. Not only is it coming, but something much more solid. Sometimes I read the Four of Pentacles in a difficult way, and sometimes I see it as a breath of fresh air. And in this case, it feels very needed, and like you've been expending a lot of energy, and it's time to sort of protect your energy, protect your material, protect what's forming within you. Some strength is needed. It's interesting because the Four of Cups and the Four of Pentacles, if you were to, just like I map these onto Gemini energy, this is a very Cancerian card and this is a very Capricornian card, and in the Zodiac they're in opposition to one another. And they have to do with the roots of things and the reach of things. And so I'm feeling like this balance point is really going to stabilize within you if you can get still and quiet and go within and take some measures to sort of protect yourself in your physical environment. Give yourself some space, give yourself some privacy, really protect what's sort of forming and coming together and maturing in you, because there is a real sense of your identity and belonging and inner tensions starting to come into harmony, but you need to protect your space right now. You really need to go inward and settle and protect some space. And it will just arise. It's just coming. That transmutation is already in process of you kind of taking in any negativity around the tensions you've felt inside of you. They're already alchemizing, and that joy is just right on the precipice. But balance is needed. Protecting your space, going inward, deepening. It's coming, but like with that, that maturity is really coming into place for you around feeling who you are at your deepest self and feeling very harmonious within yourself, hence finding that harmony and connection outside of you. Okay, we are going to call on some different guides and protectors as you go through this eclipse energy and circumstance. We're going to call on the elementals, and for you, elephant came out, so it's really an animal, but it came from the elemental deck. And then a plant, which I'm going to read from the book for this because I don't know all the plants and what they can guide and help us with. So we've got elephant and lobelia. Then we're calling on an animal guide. Whoa, double elephant. Look at you guys. There's some message very specifically trying to come to you through the elephant. So elephant recruited the elementals and said, talk about elephants even more, I feel like. Then we've got priestesses of light, and then an astrological guide. Okay, so I might as well just put the elephants together. We'll start there. These guides want to come in and help support you through reminding you your ability to, as a force of nature, you have a force of nature within you. And Scorpio energy that this is centered around is a force of nature. So you need to recognize your Scorpio energy and that you have power and that you can be a force of nature to clear obstacles from your path. You have the power within you to clear whatever these obstacles are for you about really harmonizing these inner tensions within you. Also coming through is this thing of needing to remember a regality and leadership quality you have. Elephants are leaders as matriarchs. The elephant world puts the matriarch as the leader, and so there's something very maybe maternal that you're needing to tap into, that mama elephant energy that knows how to protect her tribe, her people. They're very family oriented and herd oriented, and they're even really sensitive to each other's energies. They know, I've seen stories where, like refugees, elephant refugees, or places like hospitals or where they rehabilitate them, that if a new one is coming in, they can already sense it, and they all gather and wait for the new one to come and arrive. They've already congealed and come together to welcome it. I've seen many videos like that. They're just really sensitive to each other's energies, and so that's maybe something within you that you need to understand, is you have a deep sensitivity to other people's energies, which is maybe why you really need to protect your energy at times. Like maybe you love to be out and connecting and busy gathering information, pollinating things, helping to resolve those inner tensions, but at the same time, I think you can really lose yourself because of this deep sensitivity that you may have. And so to protect yourself and to really get back into recentering, I think that's where you need to protect sometimes your boundaries, your spaces, and kind of vacillate between the two to really balance something in yourself. But back to elephant. So there's, so maybe there's also some family or soul family type community. However you think of them right now, sometimes this Gemini energy can be a little bit fickle with in group and out group, and sometimes people are out and sometimes they're in, but there is some sort of family energy around you, and that may not be where you're trying to find your peers and your connection, but there's something there that can really ground you and protect you in those times when you need time out from like pushing towards peers and pollinating community and whatnot. Reground with those people that are part of your life because they're foundational, not because you enjoy connecting with them for fun, and peer wise. There's some beautiful grounding there that can help you in that assimilation process and help you in restoring certain boundaries and energies within you. Okay, let's look up in the Dirt Gems, the plant guide that wants to come for you, Lobelia. We've got a lion here as well, and some foxes over here, wolves, white wolves over here. Lots of animal stuff coming through for you guys. There's that antler from a deer or an elk, and we've got geese. Anyway, okay, let's go to Lobelia. Let's see, 42. Okay, the middle finger of protection. That's funny. Lobelia is a loving and firm advocate for giving less Fs, caring much less about approval, and drawing clear and uncompromising boundaries. Yeah, I think right now it's time to give less Fs. I think you really lost some of who you are by being in overdrive with connection, and you need to give less Fs, go into yourself, protect your boundaries, know who your foundational strengths are outside of that peer kind of stuff. Okay, Lobelia will bring you back if you find yourself feeling unraveled, if you are prone to panic or severe anxiety. You can't make this up. This is insane. Okay. If you're feeling unraveled, if you're prone to panic or severe anxiety, Lobelia will not shy away from a high intensity state. No nonsense, Lobelia has a long ceremonial history used for protection and to allow us to slide into more expansive states. Panic and anxiety are contractive. Within these states, we vibrate too quickly and unevenly. Lobelia allows for the shoulders to drop, the esophagus to open, and says, "You are okay. I will protect you." Lobelia allows for a smoothing out and slowing down, bringing our rocking down to ripples rather than crashing waves. Lobelia has long been thought of as a love and an anti-love tonic. Love tonics or love potions are, at their core, a symbol of someone feeling ready for love. Exactly. Once you harmonize those tensions within, really feel in harmony and love for yourself, it attracts that in the outer world too. You're ready for love, you know. Consider how you are willing to receive love, what boundaries and limits are needed, and invite this clear desire in. If you are not willing to get to the truth of it, Lobelia will not be able to help you in the ways you desire. Lobelia is known as an emetic and purgative, a medical that produces vomit or rids us of unwanted and unneeded things. This could be harmful food, poisons, or toxins, but it could also be unhealthy love or attention that is not serving you. Lobelia sees the things you may not want to look at, our hidden emotional currents and secret motivations. Lobelia says, look with strength. Once you see it, you can handle it. The monsters are not as scary as we think they are. So some of your motives in like harmonizing these inner tensions, I think have gotten a bit murky, and maybe attachments to certain, you know, that belonging, like really trying to belong places that aren't quite fitting, and these like inappropriate attachments. And so it's like, or allowing others too easily in that are attached to you, could go both ways or one or the other. But yeah, it's like really learning how to protect your boundaries, how to give yourself some space for that assimilation process. And then when to go out and what's appropriate and what feels good around connection. Really finding that balance there. But it sounds like with this eclipse, there could be some purging of like some negative pollination that's taken places, or connections to certain belonging and boundaries around that is going to take place. You know, and eclipses tend to really force the issue, and I think Lobelia is coming in as well as that kind of not willing to be relaxed about this or take a back seat, but like really like time to confront this. And it's here to really help you purge those things that need to be purged for your own good. And then we move on to the Priestess of Light, and it's the Priestess of Summoning Power, Instinct, Intellect, Control. And I love this instinct quality in the white wolves there. Is South Node energy has a lot about practice associated with it, and developing instinct through ritual, through practice. And so there's something coming through here, and I think you are finding your maturity here of like really understanding your balance between protective spaces, knowing your powerhouse, knowing your kind of more familial support systems, that can stabilize you as you kind of work out these inner tensions and belonging out in the, you know, more of your pure type of world. So I think an instinct, you know, I think you're still grasping this, you're still refining it, but instinct that's what's happening. That's what's coming into maturity in you is instinct is dropping in here. You're getting it. I think just a few more hurdles to really get this like fully embodied and settled into you. But then I love seeing this antler above her, that there is information from the higher realm, from the priestess of summoning power that is being channeled to you to help you to understand. You are getting downloads if you open to them and if you listen and create some space for yourself to listen. It's coming in. Oh my gosh. And then I wasn't even looking at, I looked at the geese, but not, and I didn't even think of the association of geese as like birds of a feather flock together. You know, they always fly in formation in groups. Conjunction, alliance. Yes, you are. It is coming into maturity and you are finding your wholeness and your elegance in your own inner harmonies, your own conjunction within self of your yin and yang, which is really attracting in the proper alliances, those who will flock together, you know, your birds of a feather. They're coming in for you, your soul tribe, not your soul family, not family things, but like your soul tribe, your friends, the soul friends you need, that know how to fly in the formation that you're meant to fly in and know how to take turns leading and falling back and supporting one another and really being allies for each other. So that's really, really beautiful to see as that last kind of guide and protection coming in for you. Yeah, I do wonder, that actually also confirms when I was sensing that maybe you guys have like some Scorpio in your chart, whether it's like a sun or moon or ascendant or, you know, any other planet. This eclipse may be conjuncting things in your own chart too. So maybe felt by you this pile a little bit more pronounced than some others in here, but really beautiful last sort of guide message coming in. And then we just have one more card, and this is from Living with a Feather Heart, and sort of wanted to use this as the culmination and the result of what this eclipse is trying to help you do in terms of relaxing into and balancing into your resonance and elegance within this thing that's maturing in you, which is your inner and outer kind of belonging. Oh, and I love what this says. I don't know what the book's going to say, because sometimes these titles says very different things often than what I think they're going to say, but I do love the title. It says, I act respectfully of others. So, I mean, that makes so much sense for what this reading has been about. You know, who's respectful of you and how respectful are you of others? That's another message coming in about like where your balance and elegance point is here. Okay, so I act, hold on just a minute, I need to find, I wish there were numbers on these cards, but I have to look in the index to find which page it's on. I must have missed it. Okay, hold on. I act. Sorry, you guys. I'm struggling to find this one. Oh, here we go. 30. I act respectfully of others. Okay. The perennial golden rule of doing unto others as you'd have done unto you has withstood the test of time as a simple reminder to treat others as you'd like to be treated. Respect is the operative word for this golden wisdom. It is through the admiration of another as a reflection of self that we are reminded to embody and encode this conduct into our consciousness as our own moral code. The samurai of medieval Japan lived by an unwritten code of conduct and morals known as Bushido. The 6 virtues of this code were courage, benevolence, politeness, loyalty, self-control, and honor. Honorably respecting and appreciating all life was of the utmost importance to these warriors of days gone by. You are the master and commander of your mind, and how you choose to conduct yourself is either as a beacon of benevolence or a mirror of malevolence. When we remember to reflect light and remain enveloped in loyalty to the great esteems of virtue, we merge the heart with the mind and can find beauty in every walk of life as we travel through life courageously. Quell the fires of ego when met with perceived disrespect. Not all seek to advance on the path of embodiment. Not all have awakened to similar desires. Judge not, love more, and let those who are sleeping dream. Remember to live lucidly within your own conscious imagination, flowing, not fighting. Manners are a habit, the outward bearing of a person, but also a style of art or literature. When our outward bearing is that of respect, the art of our life is in what we create and cultivate by the lives and moments we touch. We are a living tessellation, a perfected pattern within the puzzle of perception. With our conduct acting as a conduit of the golden rule applied, living this allows us to pass pure positive energy to all we encounter and perennially leave a lasting impression. Well, I think that's a really beautiful last guidance and wisdom for you guys in terms of what to know, what to embody, to really step into the resonance of what's maturing in you around, finding this peace in your inner resonance and attracting, hence, peace in your belonging outwardly and what you attract to you outwardly. And I think I act respectfully of others is just like a really, beautiful ending note there of making sure that what you connect within yourself, hence outwardly, is made out of beautiful virtues, so anyway, this is where I'm going to leave you guys. Really beautiful reading. I wish you guys all of the luck and beauty on the journey of this eclipse portal time. It's never without its challenges, but I see some really beautiful things coming through for you guys at the end of this. So just get into it, embody this, be in it, and get to that really beautiful, harmonious place in your life. So, all right, I'm going to leave you guys here. Thank you for letting me read for you, and all the things. If you resonated with my reading, like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys in another reading. All right, see ya.